to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Josh All alone, your host yet again for this week. Now, we talked earlier in the week whenever I did the offensive side of the ball positional overview that we were going to do an OTA recap on the weekend after all OTA sessions were finished. And I really meant that because we are still going to do it. I'm going to be on there. I'm going to host with, as of right now, it's planned to be Kenny Mack and TBD Justin Charles. On Saturday, that episode will come out Sunday. It'll be full reactions to this week of OTAs for the Browns. Everything that has come out, because OTAs are not yet finished. But then yesterday happened. Day 2 of OTAs, the one day, at least that I understand, the one day that was open to the media. And when something is open to the media, get ready for a whole crap storm coming out. So I figured it was prudent to get on here real quick, this probably won't be a super long episode, but drop something for you guys, some thoughts, some opinions on what has come out after the media was present at OTAs yesterday. And of course, the only thing I'm really talking about today is that quarterback competition. And the main thing we're going to talk about today is Shedeur Sanders, because there are multiple narratives. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this stuff. There are multiple narratives right now, whether you watch or listen to the national media, people on social media, podcasters like ourselves, Cleveland media, whoever it may be, Colorado Buffaloes fans, Shedeur fans. You're going to get a different narrative, a different story based on who you listen to. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to try my best to make this a Shedeur Sanders reality check for everybody. You're not going to like this, a lot of you Colorado fans. A lot of you, what do they call you guys? The Shedeur aunties or whatever out there. I'm not up to all that stuff, but all I know is you're not going to like the reality check, most likely. But this is for Browns fans. This is for the true diehard Browns fans that this show is intended for. We need to have a reality check and sift through all the nonsense and see what the actuality is coming out of OTAs currently in this quarterback competition. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into some of that stuff here real quick today. Before I do, I want to remind you guys, like the video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and please tap that notification bell. There's going to be so many new things coming out here over the summer. You don't want to miss any of it. If you're listening on audio, please give us a 5-star review. Apple Podcasts, a 5-star written review goes a long way in helping us get discovered by more and more Browns fans. And again, I want to start a listener mailbag segment at the end of these episodes. So head to www.thedawgspodcast.com. Leave us a voicemail or scroll down and send us a written message if you don't want your voice on the show. Drop your questions, your thoughts, your opinions. Send it to us. We'll play it on the show. We'll respond to it. We'll give you our feedback. So let's get that started. The last thing, make sure you guys go to jointhedawgs.com if you want to play fantasy football with us, which opens up on Sunday, June 1st. Signups registration will open for the fantasy football leagues. We've got to start getting people in there earlier. We've got to start getting things coordinated much sooner this year because there's going to be more leagues, more players, and we need more time to get everything organized before fantasy drafts at the end of August. So make sure if you guys want to play fantasy football, head to jointhedawgs.com. Sign up for our Patreon page. It's just $5 a month. The only stipulation for fantasy is you just have to be a Patreon member throughout the duration of the season. If you win, you get the cool Dog Pack championship t-shirts with your championship roster on the back. It's just a lot of fun. It's like one of those prizes that everybody's just trying to get. Everybody wants their championship personalized shirt to their team. So ton of fun. It's a great time. Plus you get access to the private Discord and you get to be part of this diehard Browns community that we have created online. So jointhedawgs.com. So I wasn't really sure where I wanted to start specifically on this episode, but there's an article came out this morning by Cleveland.com, the Orange and Brown Talk podcast, Mary Kay, and whoever else is on this podcast. I think Ashley Bastock, whatever. We'll go through this. I'm just going to read this entire article because I think I've been on social media definitely yesterday, all day, all night, going to battle in a lot of instances with people over what was coming out of OTAs yesterday, specifically around the quarterbacks and obviously Shedeur Sanders. Now, this article really sums up everything that I've been saying, so I just want to read it rather than me try to organize my thoughts from everything I said yesterday online. Let's just read this article. So it says, the disconnect between national media narratives and on-field reality could not have been more stark during the Browns' first OTA session, which was open to reporters. While sports talk shows across the country debate whether rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders should start for Cleveland, the Browns coaching staff delivered a clear message through their practice structure. And that message is Sanders has a long way to go. Quote, today at least, Shedeur Sanders very much looked like the fourth quarterback. And that was an observation from Dan Labby during the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Dillon Gabriel was working his way up and down a little bit. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco were trading things out pretty much all day. In everything we watched, Shedeur Sanders was, I don't want to say an afterthought, but he was definitely the last guy in the pecking order. This observation directly challenges the national conversation surrounding Sanders, whose celebrity status and college success has created outsized expectations. The reality, according to Browns beat reporters, follows a far more predictable pattern, one that actually matches Cleveland's approach to acquiring their quarterbacks this offseason. Mary Kay Cabot confirmed this assessment, stating, he definitely was, and that's how we had talked about it heading into this. We believe that's how it was going to go, but as you mentioned, that's not how the outside world has perceived this, and some of that is because of his celebrity status and everything that surrounds Shedeur. Now, the Browns' approach to quarterback acquisition tells the real story. The team aggressively pursued Kenny Pickett early in the offseason. They drafted Dillon Gabriel, and then they waited a full month before bringing back Joe Flacco. Meanwhile, they passed on Shedeur Sanders multiple times, indicating their own internal view of the quarterback depth chart. Cabot explained, we know they went after Kenny Pickett hard at the beginning of the league year. We know they drafted Dillon Gabriel in the third round, and that they waited a full month ago and get Joe Flacco into free agency, and that they passed on Shedeur Sanders 6 times and were perfectly willing to let him end up somewhere else. That's something we've said on this show a ton. I know I brought that point up a lot. The internal pecking order does not just impact practice reps. It fundamentally affects development. Obviously, with limited opportunities, quarterbacks lower on the depth chart face significant disadvantages, including working with third and fourth string receivers against lower tier defenders. Another point that I will get into here in a little bit. Now, Ashley Bastock highlighted this reality check. And again, I think the fact that he would not have to do that is all a narrative from the outside or all assumptions based on people who were already Shedeur Sanders fans or Colorado fans or just looking at how much superstardom he brings into the NFL already. For Browns observers, the message is clear. Follow the money and the assets. The team's historical pattern under GM Andrew Berry has been consistent. Resource allocation predicts depth chart positioning. You've always kind of been able to look, I think, at an Andrew Berry roster and be like, okay, who did they get? What did they give up in order to get them in any capacity, and kind of expect your depth chart to follow suit. That was Ashley Bastock. While head coach Kevin Stefanski downplayed the significance of the practice rotation, the reality remains that Sanders faces an uphill battle. If he enters training camp as the fourth quarterback, the compressed timeline makes it nearly impossible to climb the depth chart before the season begins. The challenge for Sanders now becomes clear. Defy the odds, outperform expectations, and force the Browns to reconsider their quarterback hierarchy. But as the first OTA session demonstrated, the gap between celebrity status and NFL readiness remains significant, and the clock is already ticking. So that was a good article. I thought it really helped, outlay everything that I have been saying online to people about this whole quarterback situation with Shedeur Sanders. Now, there was, and there's been a lot of animosity around this quarterback stat chart that ESPN Cleveland so conveniently put out for everybody yesterday. It's been shared about a bazillion times. We shared it obviously on our pages. And, obviously you want to be, with the news cycle, you want to be current, you want to be up to date, but a lot of times the first information is not the complete information. And that was the situation with this stat chart. So ESPN Cleveland, Tony Grossi, again, we're keeping stats at OTAs, but we're not the only people doing it. I'm seeing Drake May stats from OTAs. I'm seeing Cam Ward stats from OTAs. I'm seeing all, all these guys, this guy threw for 5,000 yards and, 37 touchdowns and no interceptions through the first, 2 days of OTAs. Whoop-de freaking do. But this is what we're doing. So they've got Joe Flacco listed at 9 out of 14 completions, 1 touchdown, no picks. Shedeur Sanders, 7 out of 9, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Kenny Pickett, 9 of 16, no touchdowns, no picks. Dylan Gabriel, 11 out of 16, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Now, where does my issue with this stat tracker, other than the fact that it's absolutely absurd and ridiculous to be keeping OTA stats? But at the same time, I see why they feel it's relevant, obviously, because everybody wants to know how the quarterbacks are doing in this competition. It's a big deal. If you don't think it's a big deal, or you think, hey, it's just OTAs, who really cares, then you're kind of missing the point. It is a big deal who's going to play quarterback for the Browns. It always is. This year more than ever, because it's the first time under Kevin Stefanski since 2020 that the Browns are not going into the season with a clear-cut, surefire QB1. The first 2 seasons, it was Baker Mayfield. The next 3 seasons, it was Deshaun Watson. Even the first season, when we knew he wasn't going to start the season, he was still the no doubt QB1 on the depth chart. He just wasn't active for the first 11 games. It was Jacoby Brissett filling in, but you knew who the QB1 was. This is the first time ever under Stefanski that we don't know who it's going to be. So that's what makes this a unique and, obviously very interesting quarterback competition. And we are going to be following it a lot, whether, we agree with a lot of the assessments or whatever, or the methods for doing it. It's what's happening. But it's not going to stop me from trying to dig deeper and break down what these stats actually mean. Because if you guys have followed this show for a while, you know that that's what I try to do. People dog the PFF grades and some of their stats and all that kind of stuff. And we always take PFF things with a grain of salt, but use those stats to try to figure out what the deeper story is on a player or a situation. And that's what I'm trying to do here with these stats for these quarterbacks. So when I looked at the stat chart, my first question was, okay, obviously we can put completion percentages with this. Shedeur Sanders had the best. He had the 3 touchdowns and all this kind of stuff. What were the situations in which these passing completions and touchdowns and things occurred? Were these in 7-on-7 drills? Were these in 11-on-11s? Was this, offense versus defense? Was this in individual drills? Where the hell was this stuff? So that was my first question, and I did get a comment today that apparently Tony Grossi on his Land on Demand behind the paywall, which I don't pay for, we don't pay for. We've had our beef with Tony Grossi, and I don't like him enough or value him to the point that I'm going to go pay for his crap. I'll just wait till it comes out for free. But it was good to hear that behind the paywall, at least, he broke down where these stats came from. Mary Kay Cabot put out an article that, let me see if I can pull this up here real quick. So she says, she kind of gave a breakdown for how things went yesterday in the OTA. So when the Browns went through their early full offense-only drills, Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback up, then it was Gabriel, then it was Flacco, then it was Sanders. But then this is the part this is where I really started diving into this stat chart and saying, okay, these stats are skewed and they're kind of garbage. She says the Browns then moved into the first of the 2 11-on-11 periods. That's the stuff that matters. If we're going to keep stats, this is what matters. Are we in 11-on-11s where you got a full offense and a full defense going against each other, or are you in 7-on-7s where there's no line? This is why we have to differentiate what drills these guys did the stats in. If we're going to keep stats, tell me what were their stats in 7s and what were their stats in 11s, because it does matter. There is a difference when you've got linemen in front of you and a pass rush coming versus nobody in front of you. If you don't think that's different, I'm sorry. It's freaking different. So she says the Browns then move on to the first of their 2 11-on-11 periods. So they had 2 11-on-11s. In the first one, Joe Flacco got the first reps, which she says possibly as a nod to his experience and seniority. And I would also add a nod to the fact that he's the only quarterback that we've seen run Kevin Stefanski's offense at a high level. Or maybe better said, he's the best quarterback to ever run Kevin Stefanski's offense in 5 seasons. So then Kenny Pickett went second in that first 11 on 11. The two rookies didn't get any reps. So I want to make that very clear here. Okay. The two rookies got 0 reps in the first full team on team drill. So 11 on 11s, it was Flacco and then Pickett. No rookies, Gabriel or Sanders, did not take reps. Okay. So then the second session, when the Browns went out for 11 on 11s, Pickett went first, not Joe. And then Gabriel went second. Joe Flacco didn't take any reps in the second 11 on 11 period. The only guy who got reps in both 11 on 11s was Kenny Pickett. In the first session, it was Kenny and Joe. In the second session, it was Kenny and Dylan. And guess who didn't get a single 11 on 11 rep at OTAs yesterday? Shedeur Sanders. So with that stat chart, they have Shedeur Sanders listed as going 7 of 9 for 3 touchdowns and no picks. All of that was in 7 on 7s. So if you're using 7 on 7s and 11 on 11 stats all mixed together for the other 3 guys, it skews the whole chart because Shedeur Sanders has no stats from 11 on 11s. You got to break it down separately. Otherwise, of course, he looks better than the other guys. He had no pass rush. He had no line in front of him when he was doing his drills. And another thing we got to hit on is Shedeur Sanders is the 4th string quarterback. Reality check. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to temper expectations based on what we're seeing come out. People are just throwing and spewing all this Shedeur Sanders stuff all over the internet saying, oh, he's QB1. He's better than all the other guys. He's going against the practice squad tryout guys. They will not be on a practice squad roster come September. He's throwing to, receivers that I don't even know who they are. His stats, this is just what scares me about this whole situation is people are taking just the bare numbers from the stat keeping for Shedeur Sanders and the rest of these guys and using it as gospel and saying, well, look at what he did, over the other guys. No, he didn't. No, he did not. He was not going against Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson. He was not getting Mason Graham and, Obo and these guys rushing at him. He did not have a line of... I'm sorry. We have got to bring this down to reality. We have to ground ourselves in what is going on right now in these OTA sessions and these practices. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Guys, is your wedding band old, outdated, or just not the same taste you had when you were younger? Or hey, maybe you're about to get married, but you don't want to deal with the salespeople at the jewelry stores. Manly Bands has the best wedding bands made specifically for men. They have the classic timeless gold and white gold styles, but they also have rings made from platinum, black zirconium, tungsten, titanium, even materials like meteorite and dinosaur bone. Yes, your wedding ring could be made from a dinosaur fossil. That is a real thing. They also have different ring collections, like their Jack Daniels rings made from actual Jack Daniels whiskey barrels. They also have Lord of the Rings and DC Comics band collections. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and take advantage of their 30% off sale with free shipping. Plus, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out for another 10% off your order. Now, every Manly band comes with a free silicone ring, and if you don't know your ring size, that's okay. You can order a free ring size chart from Manly Bands to make sure that you know exactly the right size before you order. And then if you get your ring and it doesn't fit just right, you can always return it or exchange it without any hassle. And I know this because I like my rings to be a little more loose, and the first band that I got was just a little too snug for the way I like to wear it, so I exchanged it, and the whole process was quick, easy, and I had my new ring in no time. And now, Manly Bands is even accessorizing men beyond just your wedding rings with their chain necklaces and chain bracelets made for men by men. And if you need groomsmen gifts or anything else, Manly Bands has you covered with their barware, whiskey glasses, flasks. They even have customized coasters and flight trays. So skip the jewelry stores, avoid the salespeople, and get a wedding band that was designed for you. Manlybands.com/dogs to get 30% off, free shipping, plus get an extra 10% off when you use code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. So if we look at the 7-on-7s, and I'm glad that Mary Kay put out a free article that I could actually read the breakdown. So in 7-on-7s, they split the offense into 2 squads, which is what we had already talked about. They had said they were going to do this. You had Flacco and Pickett on one field, so the veterans were on one field, and then you had the rookies, Gabriel and Sanders, on the other. In the veteran 7-on-7s, Pickett went first in a move the ball period, and Flacco went first in the red zone. So Flacco had a pass to Jamari Thrash that was broken up by Denzel Ward. It was a nice play by Ward. He also hit tight end Harold Fannin Jr. with a touchdown pass in the end zone. So this is on 7-on-7s, and we're looking at these stats as if it's all, people just think, and you know it's true. You see the stats and you think, oh, this was in all like 11-on-11s. This is in team drills. No, it wasn't. Pickett connected with Jerry Jeudy on a slant and other intermediate routes in 7-on-7s, Fannin on a short pass to the left on the rookie field. Dylan Gabriel went first most of the time, but both quarterbacks made some nice plays, and this is where I want to give Shedeur his flowers, because I don't want this to sound like a Shedeur bashing episode. It's not. This is a Shedeur reality check. So the reality, he made some nice freaking plays. The videos show, I'll tell you what, some of these passes and the ball placement that Shedeur has, especially around the end zone, they are freaking nice. She talks about Shedeur fired a couple of touchdowns to the corners of the end zone in the red zone drill, one to tight end Trey McKitty, and the other one I think was to Brendan Bates. Both were like highlight reel, not just, I don't want to say highlight reel catches, because it's not like they were terrible passes that these guys somehow came down with the catch. They were just highlight reel plays. Shedeur Sanders puts the ball in a perfect location for these big body receiving guys to go up, make the grab, and come down with it in the end zone. And I mean, his ball placement is nice. It's fire, guys. Like, there are some things about Shedeur Sanders on these video clips and on tape that it's very encouraging. It's very impressive, but we also need to keep it grounded in the defenders he's throwing against, fourth string tryout guys. They won't be on it. They will not be on the team. They will not be on even the practice squad come September. So we have to remember that. Also throwing to guys who will be maybe on practice squads. I mean, I know Bates and McKitty probably will be, one of those guys at least will be on our practice squad come September, but we have to keep this stuff in perspective to really get a proper evaluation. Because if we're just going to take the numbers and say, oh, Shedeur Sanders is QB1 based on the numbers alone, we're screwed, because clearly the Browns don't think he's ready to go up against the first team defense, because he's not yet. So maybe you guys can help me in the comments here, because I do need the help with some of this stuff. When I ask for this, your feedback, I really mean it. So there's this account, there's this guy on Twitter. I don't know who he is. I don't really understand how he's at these Browns practices or OTAs. So you guys help me out with this. Profile name is Corey. It's at Corey S. Kuza, Kuza on X. I don't know who the hell this guy is, but this is some of the stuff that we've got to be careful about on social media, listening to people, because he's clearly just pushing an agenda when it comes to this stuff. So he posted, and maybe he's not even there. I really don't know what to believe a lot of times with this stuff, but he claims he's at OTAs. He claims he's there reporting from, on site, and he says official. Shedeur Sanders was a perfect 13 of 13 today at Browns OTAs. This is only the second time in 25 years that a rookie quarterback has completed every pass. The other rookie, Tom Brady. This guy's full of shit. Okay, first of all, Shedeur Sanders was not 13 of 13. If you go back to the ESPN stat chart and what Mary Kay and the other reporters who were there talked about, he didn't even throw 13 passes. And another thing, there's a compilation video from Cameron Justice. Follow her, by the way. She's a hell of a reporter. I love her stuff. Put together a great compilation video of Shedeur Sanders from OTAs yesterday, and there's a clear pass that gets knocked down at the catch point in that video. So there's no way he could have been 13 of 13. This guy is so full of shit. It drives me absolutely insane looking at his stuff. And if you go back to the big post from minicamp that he did, drove me nuts. It said, history made. Shedeur Sanders had another legendary showing in his second day at rookie minicamp. 28 of 30, 412 yards, 5 touchdowns. Sanders is the only player in NFL rookie minicamp history to throw for 400 plus yards and 5 touchdowns in back-to-back days. Because we have such a long track record of keeping rookie minicamp stats. This guy's so full of garbage. And then he completely discredits himself a little bit later here because he posted a video clip of Dylan Gabriel on a rollout and then throwing back across the field to a guy. He overthrows him and the ball hits the ground. He reposted it and says, "Not my quarterback." Well, dude, it's really hard to take you serious if you have a blatant bias toward one guy, and we can clearly see that you're pushing an agenda for that guy. You guys know my agenda. It's I want the Browns to win football games. That's what I want. I don't want to spend 4 hours on a Sunday watching football, watching my team go out there and suck. So whoever the best quarterback is to give us the best chance to win, that's who I want it to be. If it's Shedeur, that would be phenomenal for the Browns. If it's Dylan, if it's Pickett, if it's Joe to start the season, I don't care. I just want to win games. So we just need to keep with the reality. And I know it's tough for a lot of people, and the excitement when the Browns took Shedeur in the 5th round was huge. I get that. I know there was a lot of people that wanted the Browns to take him number 2 overall and thought that he could be the franchise quarterback coming, from the 2nd pick in the entire draft. And we were some of those people, at least to start the process. We were advocating draft Shedeur at 2 until it became apparent, later in the process that the Browns weren't that high on him, definitely not high enough to take him at 2. Okay, fine. So we understood that. So let's start looking at who the Browns could possibly take. But the fact remains that the Browns spent a lot of time with these quarterbacks during the process. They spent a lot of time with Shedeur Sanders. They brought him in for a visit. They went out to Colorado, had the pro day. They took him out to dinner. They spent a lot of time with him. They've got Bill Musgrave, his dad's old, teammate and friend and everything, as their quarterback coach. They've got connections. Colorado's OC and Pat Shurmur, the former Browns head coach. There's all these things. And yet to go back to the article I read at the beginning of the episode from, Mary Kay and the people at Cleveland.com, the Browns still passed on him 6 times after all that work they put into evaluating him. That was what their evaluation led them to. Pass on him 6 times, and if somebody else drafts him, we're not that concerned about it. That's not me hating on Shedeur. That's the truth. That's the reality. Okay? I just said that I hope that he can become that guy. I do. That would be great for the Browns. It would be great for the city. It would be great for the podcast. He's a celebrity. He's a star. But he needs to be a star on the field with his talent. And right now the Browns just, either they don't think he's there or they're just waiting to see more before they give him open opportunities. So, I posted the other day, the stats are nice. The 7 of 9 for 3 touchdowns and no picks. But again, that was all in 7-on-7 work. None of that came in 11-on-11s. And then it was against the 4th string guys. So, me personally, I want to see Shedeur. And this is the thing. If you're a Shedeur fan, this is what you should want too. Do you want those stats to be against the 4th string guys? Or do you want those stats to be against the 1st string guys? Because I'm going to tell you right now, only one of those 2 things matters at all. I want to see him against Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome whenever he shows up. I want to see him against Grant Delpit. I want to see him whenever he's got Myles Garrett and Mason Graham and these guys, rushing him. I want to see him with the 1st string line. I want to see him with Bitonio whenever he gets there, and Teller whenever he gets there, and Conklin whenever he gets there. Man, there's a lot of vets skipping out on OTAs, which happens every year. We'll get into that on the weekend whenever we do our full show. But I want to see him with these guys. I want to see him with Jerry Jeudy, who looked fantastic in every video clip, and by all reports was making plays left and right yesterday. Just a total stud again, which is very good. We'll talk about that this weekend. But I want to see him with Jeudy. I want to see him with Tillman. I want to see him with Njoku. I want to see him with Quinshawn and the top backs. I want to see him with the 1st team. I want to see him go against the 1st team. That's the only way I can get a good evaluation of him. That's the only way any of us are going to get a good evaluation of any of these guys, especially Shedeur Sanders. So dial it back a little bit. If you're looking at the hype out there about him, there are certain things to be excited about. Like I said, he looks damn good. Some of these throws, now, whenever he's the ball placement for me, especially like in the 7-on-7s, it doesn't matter who the defense is because there's no lineman anyway. So that part doesn't matter. The ball placement is going to be the same in those drills, whether it's the 1st team, 2nd team, 3rd team. He's still putting the ball in fantastic spots for his receivers to go up and make a play in the end zone. Those were some very nice highlight clips, some very nice passes. He's doing a lot of things well. And I think he's going to earn an opportunity to get looks against, second string, hopefully some first string. But the thing, and we can talk about this maybe too over the weekend, you guys submit some questions and things for the mailbag that day. The Browns, if they continue with the 4 quarterbacks and trying to do this 4 quarterback competition all the way, like they said in the article, into training camp and through training camp and everything, there is going to be an odd man out. There's just not enough valuable reps. There's enough reps for everybody to throw some passes and things. But again, valuable reps. The 11 on 11s, the first and second string reps. Those are the valuable ones. If Shedeur's not taking any of the first or second string reps in 11 on 11s, like they said, 0 chance he can be the starting quarterback. 0 chance. It's not going to happen. He'll be third string on the depth chart when the season starts at best. That's the reality. So what we're hoping for is that Shedeur continues to dominate the competition level where he currently is, which is 4th string. He gets an opportunity to go against 3rd string, dominate them enough to where you get an opportunity to go against 2nd string. Now can you dominate them? Because if you can move your way up this depth chart and continue to do the same things against 2nd string competition that you were doing against the 4th string, you're going to get 1st string reps at some point. That's what we want to see. If Shedeur Sanders is truly going to climb this depth chart, which again is a tall order, but if he can do it, he can do it. And I think Shedeur Sanders would be the first one to tell you that he doesn't want skewed stats out there. He doesn't want his stats against the 4th string guys to be compared to Joe Flacco, who was going against all the first team guys. He doesn't want that. It's mainly his fans and his followers who are propping him up unfairly, and I don't think Shedeur himself would even want that. He wants a true and fair competition, and he's the first person to ever tell you that I'm not doing good enough. I need to be better. I need to work harder. And then he does it. And then he does work harder and he does get better. So I think Shedeur has the potential to do this, but he needs the opportunity to do it. So we just have to, it's going to be a long, insufferable summer with the reporting coming out of, man, when we get to training camp and stuff, and it's just, it's going to suck. But the good news is, at one of those sessions, at least one of them, we would like to get up there, get our eyes on the situation, come back with our personal opinions based on that experience to give to you guys. Because trying to sift through the bias and the BS, it's no secret Tony Grossi doesn't like Shedeur Sanders. No secret. It's no secret that Tony Rizzo does like Shedeur Sanders. I mean, it's no secret who these talking media people like and who they want to be the guy. So you have to kind of sift through those things, figure out, okay, who's actually doing well and how are they doing it? Where are they doing it? What is the real situation? Not just what these guys want the situation to be. I mean, I'm on Twitter talking, I'm posting on ESPN Cleveland's, I'm the actual stat chart itself saying, why don't you guys break this down between 7 on 7s and 11 on 11s so we can clearly see that Shedeur had no stats in 11 on 11s, so we can see what the other guys' stats were in 7 on 7s compared to him, and then we can compare the other 3 guys in their 11 on 11s. Like, we could get a more accurate assessment if we had the actual stats from where they came from. And then I won't say who it is because he didn't say I could use his name, but I get another source who was at OTAs yesterday. He was on the show last summer. Maybe you guys can go back and figure out who it was. But he was at OTAs yesterday, and then he messages me directly on Twitter and says, Shedeur Sanders did take 11 on 11 reps. I saw it for myself. And I said, well, what the hell's going on then? Why do we got Tony Grossi and Mary Kay Cabot saying he didn't? They were also there. And now you're telling me that he did. I said, where's the disconnect? What's going on? I said, how can so many people be at the same event and be reporting completely different things? And he said, well, it technically wasn't 11 on 11, I guess. It was 11 on 9 because at 4th string level, they didn't have enough D linemen to do a full 11 on 11 whenever Shedeur took the reps. Well, that doesn't count. That's not the same thing. Oh, it drives me nuts. And then I said, well, who's he throwing against? Did he actually go up against Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson, Grant Delpit in any of these reps or anything? And all he would tell me is, well, they were mixing defense in and out all day. Well, that doesn't help me either. It's a yes or no. Did he go up against those guys or not? This is what drives me nuts. So my plea to all of you reporters who actually get invited to go to these things, please tell us the truth. Tell us the actual, be as detailed as possible. I want to know, who's he throwing to? Who's he throwing against? Is he third string, fourth string? What is going on? Is it 7-on-7s? Is it 11-on-11s? And if you're keeping stats and you're counting completions on the warm-up throws, you are insane. So we have got to just be careful what we believe, what we listen to, and what we're digesting. And we're going to try our best to sift through the nonsense and give you guys as accurate of a picture as possible, because it's going to be silly season all freaking summer. But the good news is it is almost summer, at least based on the calendar. If you walk outside any time here recently, it's cold and rainy. It feels like it's, October, November, but we will get there at some point. So I appreciate you guys, again, tuning into this. I just wanted to drop these thoughts on the whole QB competition, OTA stat chart, and Shedeur Sanders and everything from yesterday. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, because, again, I know obviously I'm going to get all the comments from the Shedeur fans who just are going to watch little snippets of this and say, you're a hater, Cleveland doesn't deserve Shedeur, you guys suck, Cleveland media this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whateve. Look, I've sat here the entire time and said I'm rooting for Shedeur. I would like Shedeur to be able to climb the depth chart and actually be the Browns franchise quarterback, because we freaking need one. I don't care who ends up being the franchise quarterback as long as we get one. And if it's him, I will be just as happy as if it is anybody else. We just got to keep it real. We got to keep it 100 about what is actually going on and, what the situation is with him, because a lot of it's going to get blown out of proportion, simply like that article said, because of his celebrity status. So I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. We will be back with you guys over the weekend. Like I said, it's going to be me, Kenny Mack. Hopefully Justin will be on here. We will be talking about our entire reactions to all 3 days of OTAs, session 1 this week, because next week will be session 2. So we'll have a whole nother week of OTAs to be talking about next week. But this week, we're going to just look at what happened here and now. We'll give you all of our reactions, all of our thoughts and opinions. And if you want your thoughts, opinions, and questions answered on the show, head to thedawgspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu, record your message, send it in. Again, if you record one, you can listen to it back. If you don't like how it sounds, or you messed it up, or you want to try something different, you can just erase it, start over, record it again, and send it again. It's no big deal. And if you don't want your voice on the show, which I totally understand, not everybody's comfortable with that, just send us a message. There's an actual message box on the homepage. Just fill it out. Your question, your thoughts, your opinions, whatever, send it in, and we'll read it on the show, and we'll react to it. So we really want to start getting you guys more involved in the shows again. Listener mailbag portions. So just send those in and we'll be happy to do that. Comments, you guys tear me up. Let's see what you guys think. Let me know what your takeaways are from all the reports from OTA so far. And we still have another session this week left to go. Again, this weekend, Sunday, will be our full reactions. So stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. Appreciate you guys. Even all of you Colorado people who come in here just to knock us down. We still appreciate you guys tuning in. Best audience in the world, best fan base in the world. And until I talk to you guys this weekend, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.